The legal conflict between Epic Games and Apple, centered around Fortnite's exclusion from the iOS App Store, has escalated into a multi-year saga that continues to unfold. The heart of the issue began back in 2020 when Epic Games introduced a direct payment system in Fortnite, bypassing Apple's App Store payment infrastructure. This move directly violated Apple's policies, leading to the removal of Fortnite from the App Store and igniting a legal dispute that shows no sign of slowing down. In 2020, Epic Games took a bold step by implementing its own payment system within Fortnite, aiming to avoid the hefty 30% commission fee that Apple takes on all transactions made through the App Store. As a result, Apple removed Fortnite from the iOS App Store, sparking a battle over App Store policies, developer rights, and payment systems. Epic Games accused Apple of monopolistic practices, claiming that the App Store's dominance stifled competition and unfairly taxed developers. Epic Games took legal action demanding that Apple reinstate Fortnite and allow third-party payment systems on the platform. The legal back and forth ensued, but Apple remained firm, defending its commission structure and control over the App Store. In 2021, the U.S. District Court issued a ruling in favor of Epic Games, ordering Apple to allow third-party payment options in the App Store. However, Apple quickly appealed the decision and delayed Fortnite's return to the platform. Even as Epic Games complied with the court's orders by submitting multiple builds of Fortnite for review, Apple continued to stall, citing various reasons for the delay. This ongoing resistance became a critical part of the legal battle. On May 19, 2025, the case took a new turn when a U.S. District Court judge demanded that Apple explain why Fortnite had still not been reinstated on the iOS App Store, despite the court ruling in favor of Epic Games. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney voiced frustration over Apple's tactics, claiming that the tech giant had not responded to the game builds submitted for review. The court gave Apple until May 21, 2025 to submit an explanation. If the company fails to respond adequately, a hearing could take place on May 27, 2025, where Apple officials might be required to justify their continued refusal to allow Fortnite back on iOS. Tim Sweeney has not held back in criticizing Apple's actions. He accused Apple of using the app review process as a weapon to further delay Fortnite's return. Despite submitting updated builds of the game for Apple's approval, Epic Games has received no feedback or communication from Apple regarding the status of Fortnite's return. Sweeney believes this is part of a larger strategy to undermine Epic Games and avoid complying with the court's ruling. Apple's legal strategy has been to resist enforcing the court's injunction, particularly its requirement to allow third-party payment systems. Apple has argued that the injunction should not be enforced until an appeal hearing takes place in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. This ongoing defiance has intensified the legal tensions, with Epic Games now filing a motion to enforce the injunction and demanding that Apple comply with the court's order. If Apple fails to provide a satisfactory explanation by May 21, 2025, the court could take further action, including calling Apple executives to explain why Fortnite hasn't returned to the platform. Despite the legal hurdles, there's still hope that Fortnite will eventually return to iOS devices. Tim Sweeney suggested on social media that Fortnite could soon be available on iOS, given that several parts of the review process have already been completed. However, Apple's response to the ongoing legal challenges is the key factor in determining whether Fortnite will make a comeback on iOS. The case has become more than just about one game. It represents a much larger battle over the control of app distribution platforms and payment policies. Epic Games has been at the forefront of challenging Apple's App Store practices, particularly the 30% commission Apple charges on every transaction. Epic Games is also facing additional legal challenges outside the Apple dispute. The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, SAG-AFTRA, has filed a complaint over the use of AI-driven, non-playable characters, NPCs, in Fortnite, including the controversial use of a Darth Vader character. This adds another layer of complexity to Epic's legal troubles and may further complicate the company's ongoing battle with Apple. Looking ahead, Apple faces a deadline on May 21, 2025 to respond to the court's order. If Apple fails to comply, a hearing could be scheduled for May 27, 2025, where Apple's senior management may be required to explain why Fortnite has not been reinstated. If Apple submits a response by May 21, Epic Games will have until May 23, 2025 to reply, keeping the legal battle alive. As the tension continues to rise, the future of Fortnite on iOS remains uncertain. The legal landscape is still evolving, and this ongoing dispute could have a significant impact on the way app stores operate moving forward. In conclusion, the legal battle between Epic Games and Apple over Fortnite's absence from the iOS App Store is far from over. With critical deadlines approaching and potential hearings on the horizon, this case could reshape the App Store ecosystem as we know it. Stay tuned as we continue to follow the developments in this high-stakes legal drama.